Yes, sir. Ski, what is Gucci YouTube? It's your boy Black Gucci out 3 long face skinny hip D, and we are back still black, of course, with some more fire Boruto manga related content. Now, before we get into the video, you already know the deal, yo. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, smash that like button, share the video with your friends, and let's get gritty with the business. Yes, sir. Ski, we talking about the queen, Sarada.
9 mountains and 8 seas make one world. 1,000 worlds make one chiliocosm. 1 chiliocosm to the power of 3, and there's nothing I can't cut.
Okay, Sarada's Mangekyo Sharingan, right eye ability, Ohirume. Essentially everything that we know from this ability, what it's capable of, what level it propels Sarada to, essentially, and what we know it can do, right? And how it affects people. Now, previously on the channel, I hopped on a post. I asked you guys, Sarada's running the gauntlet, and I believe her opponents were Himawari, of course, Nine Tails Himawari. We got Sage Momizuki, we got Delta, we got current Kawaki, meaning not the Kawaki that's going to be fully unlimited and buffed up and powered up to levels we know where, because we haven't seen them yet. But the limited Kawaki that we've seen all the way up until the point of 2 Blue Vortex, everything that we've seen. And then, of course, Madara Uchiha, the ghost of the clan himself, and a lot of interesting discourse, right? So I'm going to touch up on a couple of the comments that y'all left in the discourse on Sarada running this gauntlet, because some of the takes are actually pretty wild to me. But, of course, at the end of the day, I appreciate all of the input, all of the insight, and all of the debating going down. So let's keep it coming. Pause. But moving just past that for the time being, Sarada's Mangekyo Sharingan unlocked iconically within the last chapter of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. It kind of even put the entire, this is kind of, I don't know if y'all feel it too, this feels like, for me personally, it hasn't felt like this in a long time, but it's been kind of a wait for this next chapter. I feel like her power up, her greatness just put the entire community on a pause. Like, she made us all sit still and just admire the greatness that she showcased within the last chapter. And now we're just in that moment, embracing that moment, living in that moment. And it's like, I need that next chapter now. I feel like these weeks are dragging on. I need chapter 22 right now. You feel me? But at the end of the day, we saw Sarada completely decimate this man Ryu. So we're not gonna be complicated, bro. And I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I'm not trying to do all that. I'm gonna explain everything I got to explain, and it's gonna make sense. I don't appreciate some of the disingenuous takes, right? For some people arguing whether or not, and it's not even just because it's Sarada, but like, it's real life disingenuous. Like, you're acting like you don't know certain things, or certain things haven't been established within the verse, within the story, not just Boruto, but even Naruto and Shippuden itself, that justifies the things that we're seeing revolving around Sarada. But you're gonna act disingenuous to that fact and still provide a notion that, you know, it's crazy to even assume that Naruto Shippuden level era characters can even stand or hold a candle to Sarada, guys. But even past that, like I said, let's break down the Ohirume, because I see a lot of misconceptions and a lot of misunderstandings. But we have everything that we know so far, meaning this could possibly be her full extent of her right eye ability, or it can be even more that we still haven't understood, meaning there can be other ways she can utilize this ability that we haven't seen. But I've seen too many definite answers, specifically to the karma absorbing her black, like, people are saying she could, bro, it's just crazy to me. How do we know these black holes are pure chocolate? How do we know it has no real world mass, real world things, properties that we understand the karma cannot absorb, right? Yeah, how do we know that? How do we know it has enough, like, you know what I'm saying, density within this mass that is literally pulling any and all things in towards it and imploding upon itself, which we will touch on later on? How do we know that can even be shrunk by Kawaki's dojo? Like, how do we know? And it's perfectly justifiable to say, how do we know that it can't? But for the mere fact of understanding how this ability works, what has been showcased, any and all movements are restricted once you're captured by Sarada. So anything that requires any type of movement or bodily functions is rendered useless. So Kawaki's dojutsu, any type of karma, is not gonna matter, even if it would work, which it won't. And I believe that Kawaki shrinking has a better argument than you guys saying Boruto's karma or Kawaki's karma can absorb anything with Sarada. But let's just break it down, the ability, so y'all can understand it better. So I feel like by any slim chance this video can help people understand Ohirume better. But everything that we've seen within the story, I'm not going off of theories or like everything that we've seen within the story, understanding how Ikimoto writes the story and the powers that are portrayed for Sarada, the life she lives, and understanding the true history behind the Mangekyo Sharingan and the Sharingan. So just simply starting from the mere fact, Tobirama explained to us, the Sharingan reflects the heart. It's a power essentially akin to the emotion of the Uchiha, reflecting their life experiences and the current predicaments that they are going through. Now, I've already established on this channel, Sarada's life experiences are different than any other Uchiha in history. The only one who comes close with is Sasuke, and Sasuke are experiencing the things that Sarada is experiencing as a child and coming into her own. He was already a well-established at that point, with still a lot more room to grow, mind you, but still at that point he became an adult and he was dealing with these things, these otherworldly creatures as an adult. Now this is Sarada's childhood, fighting against alien invasion. I want you guys to understand that this is her childhood, fighting against alien invasions. So since, according to Tobirama, the OG, who understands the truth about the Uchiha for the most part and how their eyes work, right, aside from the manipulation of the stone tablets, which I see a lot of people seem to forget that Black Zetsu did, right, aside from that part, Tobirama understands that the eye reflects the heart. So the powers akin to whatever specific individual Uchiha user is going to be a reflection of that. So it can go stronger or weaker according to whatever that life experiences and those desires of that particular Uchiha are. So that to say, Sarada's perception of reality and enemies, essentially in protecting the world, is much greater than previous Uchihas. She's thinking about otherworldly forces, not just protecting from other invading villages or clans. Her world and the way she perceives things are different because she can't fathom how strong Boruto and Kawaki are actually becoming before her eyes, and she's feeling very useless through the process of all of this, which she explained. There is a self-confidence and a self-cautious issue that is occurring within Sarada throughout her story, throughout part one of the story, and it's become very evident, but now it's very much in our faces with the dialogue of Sarada herself as we see and understand how things are playing out. So off the mere fact that the power scaling was gonna arise regardless, but off the mere fact of her life experiences, it already lets us to know that the power that are going to be reflected through her eyes are going to be greater, are going to be akin to the things and the situations that she are currently going through. And we see in her current predicament, her powers granted to her allowed her to no diff her opponent, an Otsutsuki plus level opponent. So with that basicness out the way, just quickly going over everything that we've seen Ohirume able to do. It generates a mass of space akin to a black hole. Now I say it like this because it's not necessarily the truth-seeking orbs. It doesn't look valuable where you can go up and run and grab it or hold it or touch it. It essentially looks like it's a created mass, and once it comes in contact with something, it does one of two things. It either absorbs you in or it wraps around you. As we see with the iron sand, it was absorbing it, and with Ryu himself, once Ryu got close enough, it began to spread out, kind of like growing its own limbs and wrapping around Ryu. So she generates a mass of space. How do you know for a fact that can be absorbed or shrunken? Because we don't even understand how that operates inside of this world. It's something we've never seen before. So that's where we have to leave it at, exactly at that, right? And moving forward, the black hole or this mass of space produces gravity strong enough to restrict any and all movements. Ryu was being pulled in already by the gravity, meaning Sarada used some type of force to start moving and restricting Ryu's body in order to get him pulled in towards that black hole. Now, in the midst of this, he did two things. One, well, actually three. He also sent an attack mid-air, but one, once he started to get pulled into the air, he tried to anchor himself to the ground with the sand to let you know that despite him being forced against his will, he still had the strength to move. And then two, once he started getting closer to the black hole, he realized it was no go. Like, he had to escape. There was no chance of him winning this fight. He tried to summon a claw grind through his body and put his fingers through the head of the claw grind. So he had enough strength at that moment to do those movements. But once Sarada realized this is what was going on, she increased the level of gravity. So that lets us know that, hey, she is able to manipulate and restrict any and all movements within the gravity that this black hole releases. So she increased the gravity and restricted his movement, so Ryu could not move. So any type of fast attack, anything that can be seen or known as a projectile, it doesn't matter. It's not going to reach Sarada. It won't even have the time to get there. The space confined, moving on to the next one, the space confined within the mass / black hole is also freely manipulated by Sarada, i.e. she can float, fly, and causes others to float. Now, essentially, the gravity generated by these spheres, I believe, is different than the gravity that Sarada is actually using to float and make Ryu initially float, because we see there's a difference between the two, right? Because once Sarada and Ryu are floating upward, there is still a time where Ryu tries to send his sand to attack, and that sand generates in different positions, being pulled towards the black hole, which obviously has to be by different gravity, because Sarada and Ryu are still in the same place. Now, once Sarada actively starts to manipulate the gravity within the field, she is essentially sending Ryu to a position, and this position being closer to one of the black holes that appeared behind him. So that lets me know to this degree, she's able to use these black holes to generate massive forces of gravity, yes, but also within those confined spaces, basically everything that is hovering within the space of the black hole that Sarada generates, she's able to freely manipulate the gravity around that area as well, which is why she's able to float and fly without essentially having herself be absorbed into her own black hole. So the space confined within the mass, she can control that gravity, and she can also control the gravity from the black hole itself, right? And then moving further down, the mass can increase in size, pull you in, and implode upon you, essentially turning you into nothing and destroying you from the inside out. Now, what we saw, and I explained earlier, the black hole essentially, once Ryu got close enough, it began to stretch out like limbs wrapped around him and essentially closed in on him and exploded that way. Now, it can be confused for like a simple explosion. Now, what makes this different is because to implode something, it has to essentially collapse within itself, right? So going back to the connections of the black hole and the stars and the suns that you see so many people connecting with Sarada's power, what happens when a sun turns into a black hole? Essentially, the sun collapses within itself, and the black hole starts to pull in every and all mass around that area until essentially the mass is so great and the force is so much it can't handle all of that pressure inside. So it essentially implodes and causes a massive burst of energy, and that's what we saw what happened to Ryu. So quote unquote, this is what's happening to her opponents. Once they get pulled in by her gravity, she is going to destroy you from the inside out. So no matter who you are, how well you regenerate, your body will completely be disintegrated because of how imploding upon oneself essentially works. You can't control all of that mass constantly being pulled into a one confined point of space, right? So anything within her line of sight, and this is the last thing that we know for a fact that applies with her Ohirume, anything within her line of sight or within the straight range of the black hole gets absorbed immediately. And we see when she looks down towards Ryu's attack, she's able to change the trajectory of his sand. And when he just tries to attract her straight forward without her even doing anything, the sand is automatically changed positions and pulled towards the black hole. And it appears to me this is only her right eye ability. Not only that, we don't know for a fact, is 4 is her maximum amount of mass black holes she's able to generate. Can she generate more? What do those triangles behind her do? We've never seen somebody's Mangekyo Sharingan pattern form in the air around them. So there's so many open-ended questions regarding around what even more can just her right eye do. But also it appears that the only weakness is chakra exhausting, right? So that appears to be the only weakness for Ohirume. So if you ask me, it is a pretty cracked jutsu, and the more I sit on it, the more I find myself questioning, why do I not have Sarada in the top 1 of the verse, right? But we have to, breaking things down, and arguments and debates definitely come into question and all of that stuff. But essentially still, the most cracked ability here we have, right? So I ask y'all, Sarada's running the gauntlet. Who stops her essentially? Now, the real answer, and not just my opinion, it's a fact, bro. Just from the stuff that I give Kawaki, he's the only one that has argument. But she washes the list, bro. Himawari, we know what Jura did against her, and y'all know Himawari is the star of Mangekyo Gang. But at the end of the day, she needs more experience. And now we talking about Ohirume Sarada. quiet. She's getting washed. Mitsuki Sage Mode, do we even need to talk about why he's getting washed? Come on, let's be for real. Delta, you already know I rocks with Delta. You feel me? That's my wife right there, but hey, she's getting washed. Kawaki, y'all know how I feel about the man. I really don't like him. This is how y'all know I'm being very serious, but he's the only one on the list that even stands a chance. But yeah, he's getting washed. Madara, I don't even know why that was even a discourse, right? But a lot of crazy suggestions here. Some people suggesting that they would lose to Naruto. I like the back and forth here, giving it the reasonings behind why they think that Madara would definitely beat Sarada. But I understand some things can be seen as recency bias, but also some things are just pure fact. And like I said, you feel me? Sarada has showcased time and time again, especially against opponents that we understand Madara, from what we've seen, would have nothing to do or counter against, right? Sarada is just on that type of level. Now, I justify this by saying if Madara was alive in the Boruto era, he probably would be the strongest, but he wasn't. He died. And we've seen what he was able to do within his life and within Sarada's short life, her 15 and a half years of living. She can fold Madara, any version of Madara. It don't matter. She's beating the brakes off of that man, just like she did Ryu. Now, long story short, I do understand a lot of the conjecture in terms of how Madara's limbo clones will work, and essentially his Rinnegan ability, essentially the equivalent of a Rinnegan and a Mangekyo Sharingan. But it's been answered so many times that I just think you guys don't like the answer. Just because you don't like an answer doesn't mean it's not an answer. At the end of the day, Sarada's base is strong enough to where a Mangekyo Sharingan amp for her does more for her than a Rinnegan amp would do for someone like Sasuke or Madara. People don't like hearing that, but that's the truth of the matter. At the end of the day, it's big Ohirume Sarada. Let me know how y'all feel. Let me know if y'all think I missed anything regarding her right eye ability from what we've seen so far within Boruto Chapter 1. But until my next video, you already know it's the queen. Big Uchiha vibes, Sarada Uchiha, all day, every day. Holla at your boy. Until my next video, I'm going to holla at y'all. Black and out. Yes, sir. Ski.